Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Rachel.
Michael, Korey, how you
Hello.
doing? You guys beat Emily here.
Imagine that.
Are you saying Emily's late often?
Can you see us okay? Is this a good angle?
I mean, yeah, I see you okay. You could be closer for sure.
All right, there's Emily. Here,
Yeah.
Hey.
They want us a little closer.
Yeah.
A little
Better.
closer.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hello.
You
It's
look
good to
so
see
cute.
you.
Good to see you too. Hey.
Are you're talking to Mike and Korey? They do look cute.
Yeah.
I
Adorable
guys are just
I'm
guys.
talking to myself. Hold on. If I go down too low, I get this thing poking out of my head though.
I think you look good.
Whatever you say.
All right.
Hey, welcome to our little white picket fence. Thanks
Yes.
for doing this. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I've always wanted a
do it-
little white picket fence.
So did
Right?
we.
I have one, but it's not,
Just one
the next door
sec.
neighbors.
I want to make sure my camera is good.
That's okay. We're supposed to do a sound check a little bit. Like, is that okay? Can we do a little?
We can. I mean, I'm probably, because I'm the editor, I'm probably going to keep it all in anyway. So check.
Okay.
We good?
Check. This works.
Yeah. At first, I mean, I don't know how to sound check outside of that. I can hear you. You can hear me. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you guys hear us okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear us?
Sweet.
I can hear you. I can see you. So let's just go
let's
for
get
it. And
started.
speak up though, because you're probably going to be doing most of the talking, and I don't know if you have an actual mic or how it's working.
We do. He's right there.
Shut up.
Your jokes are just as bad as mine.
I know.
Well,
Okay, so
but they're funny.
Mhm.
All right, so let's introduce here.
I
Yes.
do have
Yeah.
an actual mic. Hold on. Here. Uh-oh. Ow.
Okay.
You know what? I'll just do this. I don't need it on a little
Okay.
tripod.
Well, while you guys are doing that, I will introduce you.
Yeah.
If that works.
That works.
Yes.
Okay,
Of
so
course.
our guests today are my older brother Mike, who's a freaking stud, and Korey, who may as well be my older brother because we basically grew up together. So
We're family.
we're family. Absolutely. Anybody who can play Nintendo with like 6 kids climbing all over them, you're automatically family. You're family.
Right.
Okay, so this today's episode is about their awesome story. So like I said, Korey grew up with our family, and he and Mike were best friends growing up. And Mike left for Russia, and we'll let them take it from there. Do you want to give us a little background? Tell us about your guys' friendship when you were little kids first.
It was great.
What do you remember about? What do you remember
well,
about?
That's all I need to
I
hear.
remember back when I was young, when I met Mike, I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't like anybody my own age. And even all through, up clear through high school, I never hung around with friends my age. Mike and Brian they were younger than me. And they were all my only friends that I could get along with. Well, those were the
you guys
days.
got along really well.
Yes.
Those
were the days of sleepovers, bike riding without worrying about it, frozen cookie dough, mowing each other's lawns, fixing our Mustangs.
Basketball, lots of basketball.
Basketball all the time. Croquet when we were bored out of our minds.
My personal favorite was the remake of Jurassic Park that we all did.
Oh yeah,
that was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
You really haven't seen that?
Yeah.
How did you escape that?
I don't know. I didn't want to escape it. I feel left out.
So I die under a garage door.
Okay.
And the blood that's coming out of me is water.
So we're talking like a masterpiece.
Mike's mom let you use the red food coloring. So we had low budget and low expectations, but low budget.
Hey, welcome to our show. We're all on the same page.
It was so good though. It was like we had the whole family and neighborhood was in on it, and we made it with a hand puppet that was a dinosaur.
If you find that, I need to see it.
It's true. I can't believe I never showed you.
I remember when we made it, I never thought Mike would. I mean, I remember sitting in school, and like I said, I didn't get along with a lot of people my age.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in school, and the class, you know, the news comes on before class, you know, school
Yeah.
starts. Yeah,
Pigs in high
that
school
plays.
news.
And my head
Yeah.
was just like this the whole time.
Yeah, so we played it in school before lunch. Yes, everybody saw it.
I
And
was so
It was
embarrassed.
great.
Did someone
then-
ask you to do that, or did you just offer it up?
Oh,
like,
no,
hey,
it just-
I've made something amazing. Can I
it
show
was
everyone?
everything. We offered it, and then they asked us.
Yeah, we just
Yeah.
did it for fun. You know, I was a little embarrassed at first, but when I heard the class start laughing, you know, and
It was
Oh.
great.
It also sparked the first ever Payson Film Festival and the only ever Payson Film Festival.
It was so good. So good.
Excellent.
No, but what I
Okay.
remember about you guys was like you would always let me tag along, and that made me feel really good. Like anytime you guys were going to the gas station, you'd go buy me a soda, and like I'm sure it's just every teenage guy's dream to have their 11-year-old sister tagging along everywhere they go.
Riding around in the Ford LTD that Korey had was one of the highlights. You
And the
know, going to
Mustang.
get drinks, just riding anywhere through West Mountain or going to drag main in Spanish Fork. Just
Oh,
all
yeah.
that.
So
stuff.
fun.
that car was
Like
big.
the idyllic 90s upbringing, 80s and 90s upbringing.
Absolutely.
I remember
was
one day
fantastic.
we drove from Spanish to Salem to one of our Spanish Fork friends. It was a girl. I think people had in my car, like 12 people. in my
Oh,
car.
absolutely. 12 people in the car.
BJ was laying on the top of everybody. In
Oh
the
my
back
God.
seat.
I loved it. It was so awesome.
And you
So,
all lived to tell the tale. So
and we did. We
Yeah.
lost a few on the way, but you know, we're still here. So that's
Then I upgraded to the Mustang.
excellent.
which was also awesome. And then so did BJ, our other brother.
Yeah.
And it was
So
awesome.
when did you guys lose touch then? Everything's perfect. It's awesome. When did you guys lose touch?
Life is good.
When he went on his mission.
Okay.
Yeah. So what was interesting is, you know, we go off to college for the first semester of college, continue to stay in touch. But it was after that first semester of college when I went on my mission, everybody just starts to kind of go their own separate ways, get
Yeah.
a job, go to school. You know, that's just how it
Get
goes.
busy. Just
Well, the other friend in our friend group, Brian, he ended up 6 months later getting called to the same mission that I was in.
Which was clear in
St.
Russia,
Petersburg,
yeah.
Russia, even though he took German in school. And so that was quite a surprise. You know, we kind of hit it off again. And
for those
we
who
got
aren't
pictures
LDS,
What's that?
I said for those who aren't LDS, kids when they were 19 years old were asked to go for 2 years. They just got assigned. They didn't get to pick where they go.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah, the
nephew
church
who's in
mission.
Peru right now, and 2 other nephews are getting ready to get their callings. It's really
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
it,
go.
it can be a great
So-
opportunity to learn another language and get out of your own
Do
zone.
some service.
You open that magic white envelope and it tells you where you're going for 2 years, but now they just open a PDF.
Yeah.
So,
Not nearly as cool. But so 2 of the 3 amigos get randomly called to Russia for 2 years, and They're
together,
gone.
Korey actually wrote me a letter that I still have that,
Okay.
you know, when I was living in Russia. And anyway, he sends me this letter. It took about a month to get to me.
Mhm.
But that's kind of how we last remember things. And then we came home from our missions, and I actually met my wife there in the mission as she was starting her mission. I was ending mine, and we gave a concert together, and you know, hit it off so that when we came home, I thought this is going to be a cool thing if we start dating again. So we ended up
She's pretty cool.
hook-
She's pretty cool.
hooking up.
Hi, Vanessa.
It's amazing. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And then after we were married, we bumped into Korey again at a gas station.
Yeah.
And you were still in your Mustang, I think, at the time. And that was the first time I had seen Korey since before my mission. And then Korey ended up living in the top of the office.
Yeah.
Right?
Your dad's.
Your
office.
dad's law office.
Yeah. So then for a
I
number
used
of
to clean that place.
yeah,
my husband lived there before we got married.
so did Korey.
Sweet.
So anyway, so then Korey and I kind of you know, continued to keep in touch while he was living there at the top of my parents' office. But then, you know, married life takes over, and we ended up moving to New York, and we lived in New York for 10 years, and we just lost touch, I think.
Yeah, it happens. Let's just
And
kind
then I think you ended up where?
I ended
Working
up,
construction.
yeah, I was always into construction,
excellent.
and then eventually started getting, higher positions in that. But, with Mike gone, Brian gone, I started hanging out with the wrong crowds and,
But
kind
didn't
of,
you get hurt?
what's that?
Didn't you get
I broke my hand, had my hand broke at work, and that's where my downfall began.
Okay. I mean, probably like I would imagine if it was probably hard to make a living not being able to do that, which is really stressful and it's
Yeah,
gonna
and
put you in a mindset
If your
where
hand's busted.
Well,
yeah.
you're making good money, weren't you?
yeah, I was making all right money back for that time. Back then I was making good money.
Yeah.
Even with broken hand.
Well, obviously I was on workman's comp for a couple
Oh, yeah.
weeks. And then when my hand finally did heal, they didn't want me back. So
They didn't?
nope.
Oh,
They
okay.
found somebody to replace me. It was just a small company and
Yeah.
just didn't need me. And so I kind of moved on and went back to excavating, playing the machines.
Yeah.
Just kept doing that for a while. And then that's like,
So were you playing with like little cars, Hot Wheel cars in the sandbox?
Yeah.
Digging, excavating.
Yeah.
And that's what I pictured. I just thought you were at the
All the way
park.
to China.
Yeah.
No. The machines I run can pick up your car, no problem.
Oh yeah, the
Big.
big suckers.
Yeah. My brothers they used to work in construction and digging concrete and stuff like that. So I've seen some of the
Yeah.
fun machines.
Yeah, Korey was the foreman. Yeah, he knows what to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was rough, and then I fell even further after my broken hand.
Okay.
Got addicted to bad things.
Like,
Painkillers.
do you mind telling me or I mean,
It started out with painkillers, and that's usually the MO of every heroin addict. Is it starts with painkillers, and then when the doctor cuts you off of that painkillers, you go to this streets obviously to find something to ease the pain,
yeah.
and then before you know it, when you don't have it, you get extremely sick.
Yeah. I
For
learned on
me,
a very
it's-
small scale just a little bit about that because I take a Zoloft. No, not Zoloft. I can't remember. Certainly I take something for anxiety and depression and we lost insurance. And
yeah.
going off of that, even though
Yeah.
like for a short the way I felt, I got a new appreciation. I was like, oh, nobody's doing drugs because they're looking for a high anymore. You're just trying to freaking survive, right?
Yeah,
Is that a fair assumption?
And that's what it got to. I kept working, and I went through 2 or 3 different jobs because I was trying to work and keep the addiction hidden at first.
Yeah.
But then the last job I had, it just all fell apart. I couldn't get a job nowhere, and I eventually ended up on the streets. And at that point in my life, I wanted to get out. It's just I had no way. You're depressed. You're down. You don't know what to do. And I only did the drugs just to feel normal. I wasn't getting high no more. It was I did it so I wasn't sick and I could function.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm in New York eating Sour Patch Kids and Jelly Bellies.
Like we're 12 years old again.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as I said, it's it taught me some things.
Oh man.
It taught me. I had a really bad anger problem when I was younger, and it kind of calmed me down on that. And it's just opened my eyes to how people that don't have, there's lots of people out on the streets that weren't even addicted to drugs or anything. They just ran into some bad luck.
Did you get mad at other people that got angry? Like, stop being angry.
Oh yeah. When you got 2 heroin addicts that are withdrawing, yeah, it's not pretty. It's not fun, and I can't even explain what a heroin withdrawal feels like. It's like you want to die. It's
Yeah.
not, and I was fortunate that I was able to go into the hospital, when I did.
Yeah. Explain how that happened, because didn't you get really sick?
Yeah, I ended up with pneumonia, and I had one of my lungs fill up, and it collapsed. So I'm missing a lung, and then my kidneys failed from the infection that got into my blood from that. And so I started putting on a lot of water weight. And
I
what it
remember
all
that
boils
being super
down to,
scary.
yeah, what it all boils down to, if my mom wouldn't have took me into the hospital when I did, I probably would have been dead in a day or so, and even in the hospital, it was close.
I
Yeah.
have my side to that too, but we'll get into that.
But when I was in the hospital, like I said, a lot of people that are on the streets don't have the option, and I took advantage of it, as they had medications they were giving me that weren't as strong as heroin, so I was able to kind of wean off of everything slowly as I was in the hospital, and then when I got out of the hospital, I think I only withdrew for like 2 days and I was done. And after that day, I was like, I'm never. And even there's been a couple times that I've gone to doctors in the last, since I got out of the hospital, they've offered pain pills. I'm like, nope.
No, thank you.
Yep.
My own husband ended up dependent and addicted to pain pills in like trying to find a diagnosis for his bipolar disorder and treat his neuropathy at the same time. And there were times I've seen him have to detox on a much smaller scale, but it's like once you see it, you see people through like a different lens. You're like, holy cow, like this could be anybody,
Right?
Because it's not a bunch of bad people out there doing drugs. They're just human beings in basically bad situations. Most people are doing it out of desperation,
Trying
right?
to feel normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you were saying.
You nailed it.
But they don't offer a lot of help. What drives me nuts is when I see the country giving all this money to other countries when they can be helping all these homeless people get detoxed or get off the streets,
Yeah.
Portland, Oregon, California. I mean, you see some of the homeless people on those streets. It's crazy, and they don't have no help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could go all day on that because
Yeah.
I get kind of angry just talking about what our government spends money on and stuff. But I keep seeing stories though about like local entrepreneurs or things like that, where like people who are doing well in certain areas are helping like their communities. And I'm like, I think that might have to be our answer. We can't depend on the government to make any type of decision that speaks for people or takes care of the people.
Yeah, that's just it. It's all about local people being able to kind of lift where they stand instead of, you can't be everything to everybody, but being able to do something local, something in your neighborhood, something in your area, that is
one at a
what
time.
makes the difference. Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if, I was about to get on a big tangent there, but I don't even know if you can do it on a big scale. You have to have a community around you, don't you?
Well, I mean,
to really heal. And
there's resources that are available in some communities that are just amazing, like, the Catholic community services, all of the different ways that people are helped when they find themselves in an unfortunate situation and need like utilities and heat and things like that, place to stay.
It's just hard to find a lot of them. You got to really look.
And if you're a single male, you're in a category that is really tough.
Yeah.
I didn't know about when Mike helped me get my teeth fixed. I had no clue that could be done, and Mike found that out. And because my teeth, I had no teeth.
Well, when I was calling around, I learned that there was a service that would do that, but it was a 6-month wait. And I said, this can't wait. This is infected and
gotta
bad.
be now.
And we need to do this now. And so
let's back up a little bit and talk about how you guys found each other again after 14 years of.
I think it was trick-or-treating. No.
Awesome.
So I usually sit out in front of City Creek Mall, and I hold a sign, for money, not just for the drugs, it was
in Salt Lake City, if anybody doesn't know where that is.
Like, if I needed clothes or anything like that, people would donate, to me. And I would get out there really early because there's so many other people that would do that I would get out there like 5, 6 in the morning, and I'd just go back to sleep right there on the sidewalk. And I remember I was under a tarp one day because it was cold and kind of snowy, and I heard some money drop into my thing, and then all of a sudden I hear Korey. I pulled the tarp back, and there's Mike. And I felt so embarrassed.
Mm.
I mean, I was happy and embarrassed at the same time. I was just like, don't look at me,
Yeah.
Well, and I was headed to work. I normally take front runner and then jump on that's the train that heads up to Salt Lake. And then I jump off the front runner and onto the tracks trolleys that go through town. And I normally get off on the Temple Square stop so that I could kind of walk through Temple Square to work, kind of set the tone for the day. But I missed it. And I ended up getting off on a different track stop that I don't normally get off. And that was Main Street in Salt Lake City downtown, and jump off of there. And as I was crossing, I knew it was getting closer to 8 o'clock, and I have meetings that start at 8 o'clock, and I'm kind of one of those, I've got to get this done, I got to go, and I've just enough time to get ready. And it was honestly like someone had just punched me in the face with a feeling, and it was a prompting that just said, stop, go over to that homeless guy there and give him $1. And I didn't want to do it.
Did you normally give money to homeless people? Was that something you typically did?
No, I try to donate to certain causes instead, where I know the money's going to go a lot, it's going to have more
of an
mileage
effect.
that way. Yeah. So a greater effect, being able to donate to a specific cause. So it's not like I don't donate, but taking money out of my wallet first thing in the morning, that was not in my DNA really. But I just felt like this overwhelming feeling, you need to go over there and give him $1.
Yeah.
So I did. I opened my wallet, looked inside, and there was exactly $1 in there. So I knew I had to go over there.
Yeah.
Lucky I had anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went over there and I looked, and sure enough, there was a sleeping homeless guy with the, wrapped with a tarp and a blanket around him, and a little dog poked out. So he had this
That
little
dog was
brown
awesome.
dog with him. Yeah. So I took the $1 out, I just went, all right. And I dumped it in the bucket. And then I stared at him because I was kind of bent down, dropping the money in. And I stared at him and oh my, what? Like I recognized his eyebrows and I recognized his nose, but he had this huge beard and kind of looked like an old man sleeping there.
Grizzly
And
eyes.
I just stopped and I just went, Korey, Korey. And that's when he looked up and he goes, oh no, I'm so embarrassed. And that was crazy, because it was like suddenly time stops and everybody's going to work. Everybody's running around you, busy for the morning. And I didn't care. There's people I knew walking to work. I look up and
you're like, I got something else going on right now. Like you went straight from work focus to like, I got bigger shit.
All in that
stuff
moment
going on.
That's right. It was like, here he is. Wow. I haven't seen him in 14 years. And I had heard he went homeless.
Yeah.
But here he is.
I remember you looking around for him.
Yeah, like maybe months earlier, we actually went around, just keeping our eye out while we were going to downtown restaurants and stuff. Like somewhere around here, we have a friend who's homeless, blah, blah. But we didn't know. We thought he was sleeping under an overpass somewhere. We didn't know he was at the closest spot a homeless person could be to my office.
Yeah.
So it just makes you think, how many times could I have actually walked by and not know?
Yeah.
But there was something in that moment where it was time.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go over and give him $1, but I did.
Yeah, I mean, if I seen somebody I knew, I avoided them. The only person that knew I was up there was my mom, and I didn't want my family know. And, funny fact is I actually ran into my wife up there one day and I ran from her.
You ran from
like
her?
she wasn't your wife at the time. Like
no, she's a sheriff now of the Salt Lake Metro.
You had known who she was before.
I knew her, but before her, she was working at Metro. She was doing security at the federal building right there on State Street. And I was crossing the crosswalk right there because that's where I walked every morning. And she come out and yelled my name, and I turned around and all I seen was a person in uniform with a badge. And
no.
the
So
gossip.
you didn't
No.
know it was her. It was somebody you knew,
I
but you
didn't
didn't know
know.
it
If I
was
would
her.
have known it was, Heather, one of my old friends too, I would have stopped. But all I seen was the badge. And, back
Yeah.
then, the Salt Lake Metro cops were really hard on the homeless. So if I
Yeah.
seen anything with a badge, I avoided it,
Yeah.
So you can see,
The
obviously. it's in a
universe was
different-
trying to put people in your
Yeah.
path. Like, we're gonna help
Yes.
you.
Yes. Obviously, yes. And so, he's definitely in a different place now, and we're both
Well,
able to finally look back on this thing in a
Yes.
different light.
yeah.
And
Well, I remember.
Oh, go ahead, Emily.
Sorry. I remember that day after you had talked to Korey for the first time and then went back to work, you called me right after, and just the sound of your voice, you're like, I found him. I found Korey. And he was so excited. He was
It
stunned
was,
and excited. And he's like, I'm going back out there. We're bringing pizza. We're going to have lunch. It's going to be awesome. Like,
yeah.
he was
And
way
I
excited. Way
I
excited.
remember going home that day, and I rallied up my kids. I got home and I just walked into the house and I stopped and I said, I need all the kids around here right now. And I just sat with everybody. I said, I just found my best friend and he's homeless there. And I have to tell you what happened today. And they all just listened to it and they hung on every word. And it was like, this does not just happen to people.
Yeah.
And this was like, you need to learn from this moment. So
Yeah.
anyway, but
Well,
that's
and
what happened. What?
and it felt like it's like a family we found our brother again, It just
Well, and
it felt awesome.
he actually, when he seen me, he said he'd be back at lunch. And that's when I was surprised again, because he brought Brian with him.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I stayed there on the sidewalk for a while, and then I left for a bit, and then I made a phone call, and I called my manager and I said, hey, I just found my friend. He's homeless here. And the friend goes, not to get all religious on everybody, but he
That's
goes,
fine.
it's the work of the Lord, just not behind a computer. Go for it. So I said,
Yeah.
awesome.
Because Mike works
Well,
at the
then
church office building.
Yeah.
Just,
Well, in my world, like, if I were to do that in my work, they're not religious, but they're just good people. They would have been like, helping people, go do it.
Go
You
do
know?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have to. Yeah, exactly. So I hung up my phone and I walked right back. So I wasn't gone very long, and we just stayed and chatted and talked about what life was like. We actually talked about the Jurassic Park movie. He's like, I want that. Somebody stole that. Or you.
Well, so that one year for Christmas, you sent it to my mom's house.
Yeah.
And from there, I don't know where it went. I think my mom's hiding it from me and won't let me have it back.
what?
Anyway.
Why?
I never showed that to the family ever.
So we caught up. I mean, it was just that moment where now I'm telling him about 10 years of living in New York, what it's like to be married with kids.
Yeah.
He didn't know any of my kids except for my oldest when he was born. Korey actually brought his kid, who was born just a few months earlier, brought him to the hospital to see our newborn while he was in the hospital. That's the last that we actually saw of Korey. And then we moved to New York. And so here we are catching up, and I'm learning about how hard it was for him to have been, homeless on the streets of Salt Lake for so long, but also like down in St. George too, right?
I was there for 2 or 3 months.
And like a whole history there of just hard times. And it was like, okay, this is going to be an opportunity to do something about that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm actually a little nervous. I'm like, so I don't know. I know my friend. I just don't know him as well now. And he probably doesn't know me as well now. Like, well, we've got to let Brian know. So I texted Brian saying, I found Korey. Come. So Brian came over and we went and got pizza, and we came down and sat and had a pizza party on the sidewalk during lunch. I'm in my slacks, my nice clothes, my jacket, and there's hundreds of people just boom, boom, going everywhere for lunch, walking all around us. And we are just laughing it up. We are having a fun time. It's
You're
great.
in your own world.
We're in our own world. It's just hours are starting to slip by.
And then
And-
that's when Candace showed
Yeah,
up.
so then I said, hey, can I take your picture? Like, is that okay? And Korey goes, yeah, sure. So I pull up on my phone like this, but I'm kind of shaking a little bit because I'm a little bit nervous. And I'm
Yeah.
like, so, and then this lady goes, hey, I'll take your picture. So she grabs my phone, takes our picture, hands my phone back to me, and then she goes, so how do you all know each other? Because you sound like you're best friends, but you do not look like you're best friends.
Yeah.
And I said, well, this is our best friend we haven't seen for 14 years. We just found him. And we're just so excited. Like, this is awesome. And she goes, oh, well, I'm actually a special KSL TV news reporter,
Oh.
and I do stories on the homeless. And I just felt a feeling to come downtown to go to lunch. And I walked past you guys, and then I stopped in City Creek Mall, and I thought, I need to turn around and go watch these guys. So she goes, I've been actually taking footage of you on my phone for the last 45 minutes. I've been walking all the way around you,
Oh,
filming you.
okay.
And
Do you
can I
have
do a
any of that footage that you could send me? I could put some of it at the end
So
of this.
We can put
I
some
don't
links.
have the footage, but when you go, if you Google Utah homeless friend,
Okay.
part 1, part 2, and part 3 of the story come up. And it's actual footage from that event, not
Okay.
staged, not nothing. She's going around with the camera, and that's the moment. And it's pretty
Well,
cool.
that's pretty cool.
And
That's
we could
awesome.
probably post links to that news story that they did
Yeah, yeah.
on them as well.
On Facebook, under my Facebook post, it's got each link to the part.
Okay.
So,
Do you have the picture you took that was kind of shaky or no?
yeah, I do. Let me see.
Yeah. Just send it to me. When we're like, I'll try to add it on like at the end. So it'll be like, I don't know. It'll be cool. Plus I'd like
Yeah.
to see it.
And Korey, how does this all make you feel? Everyone's all like excited and stoked to see you. You're just like,
I mean, back then I was scared. I didn't want my picture, with Mike taking a picture, that's fine. But the whole news report thing, it put me really on edge.
Remember when it was on?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
because
wondered about that.
when you're homeless, you come to learn that a lot of the news reports they do on homeless people tend to be bad. They're taking money, buying drugs, all that stuff. And so whenever they do a news report like that on the TV or the radio, people would stop giving money. They wouldn't help you at all.
Yeah.
Once I realized she was trying to do it for the right reason, I
Yeah.
kind of allowed her to do, I think, the first 2 things, just my, you couldn't see my face.
You couldn't see your
okay.
face, gave you a fake name, gave you the name of John.
Kinda, but the last one I did, without, everything.
Yeah. You had to get there in your own time. You needed to be ready to do it for yourself.
Well,
Yeah.
and actually, after I went through the hospital and everything, so as I was getting my teeth done, she wanted to do so was it the second or third one where I yelled at her?
That was the second
Good for
one.
you.
I was having a really bad day, and she come up and she had been trying to hunt me down all day, and she kind of confronted me in the wrong way, and I felt like I was being attacked. And Mike was sitting right there in his car waiting for me to take me for my teeth stuff, and I just unleashed on her. I mean, back then, I was on drugs. I was angry. I got angry really easy, and I yelled at her, and the look on her face was just like, even after I yelled at her and we drove off in the car, I could hear through Mike's window, sorry, hope everything goes good, and I'm like, I felt so bad.
Well,
so after I got out of the hospital, that was the first thing on my list is I got her number from Mike and I called her and apologized to her.
Good.
And that's actually in one of the news reports that we did.
It is.
Really?
She was telling me about, her side of the story, that when she heard that, she started crying,
Aw.
because she kind of figured out that everything was going good. And then that's when we did the final report. And
Yeah. So did you continue living on the street at the beginning?
yeah, it was about 8 months before I got sick.
It was a long time. So the day was April 26th.
That's when you found me. So it would
so
have
then-
been about 8 months because I got sick that January.
Yeah, so what ended up happening was, just make a long story short, a lot of people stepped up. Construction companies were wanting to give him a job. Caseworkers were wanting to meet with him, had somebody wanting to give him a new suit. People were wanting to donate money, offer part-time help here and there. And it was a lot and it was crazy. And I was trying to coordinate all of it. And
You gave a
it
benefit
was-
concert too. That was awesome.
Well, so it was great. It was something that I was like, there are great people here in Utah stepping up to help this amazing situation and help him get off of his feet, but he kind of doesn't want it. He's got like 1 foot in where he's at and 1 foot in, let's get out of this together. But it's like, it's hard because you got a whole bunch of friends. And when you're panhandling, you're kind of like in this circle of friends.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of help came, but it took a while to get to the point because it's not like you wanted the spotlight or to get all
Yeah.
this
He had to be
help.
ready to accept the help
Right.
and all of this stuff. Yeah.
So then I started getting kind of like I don't know if I was too pushy or not, but that day when they were kind of following me around with the camera, I actually took him a Thanksgiving dinner and found the bush where you were sleeping, and I gave it to you, and they were following me around, and it was just like, thank you, but I need my time. And
Yeah. Were you ever just like, great story and everything, but knock it off. This is my life. Leave me alone.
yeah, all the time. All the time. But anyway, there came a point where Korey left and I actually never saw him again for Thanksgiving and the holidays. And just before then, it just felt like things were not going in the right direction. And it was really tough for everybody, not just for Korey and his family, but for me,
Because seeing him like that and not being able to help or fix it probably felt
yeah.
pretty
And people were
helpless.
telling me right and left, it looks like you're hurting yourself. Stop going this far. No one's going to think twice of it if you stop. This is obviously his choice. But, I always wanted to have a lifeline there of some kind, because if I chose not to have a lifeline, boom, I was gone. But I wasn't going to do that. So
Yeah.
I chose that I actually wanted to give a benefit piano concert. And so KSL contacted me again and said, hey, this is not quite turning out like we all thought it would, right? How about if we do a part 2 and we'll follow you around with the camera for Thanksgiving, and we'll make it our Thanksgiving feel-good story for the year. I said, all right, as long as it feels good, but but they did a fantastic job with that. And they, suddenly I'm not seeing Korey again for several days, and like, darn it, I just want to do something still. If I can't help Korey, I want to do something. So I gave this concert and raised a bunch of money that I donated to the community action program.
Mike plays the
downtown
piano
Salt Lake.
really well. He's a
Mhm.
It
composer.
was all songs that I wrote and Christmas songs that I arranged, and never done anything like that before. For 2 hours, 400 people.
That had to be
awesome.
fun though.
Then we gave the money to the community action program, and then Christmas went by, the holidays went by, didn't see him. January went by, and then he started getting sick. But in early February, I took my family on a vacation, and we actually ended up going to France.
Wow.
And then it was for 2 weeks, and we came back from France. And the first thing that happened to me was I got a call from Korey's mom, and she said, I hate to tell you this, but Korey is in the hospital and it is not looking good. Can you please come and give him a blessing, like a blessing to help him get better? So
Yeah, that's another LDS like type thing. I think
Reference.
it's pretty specifically, right? The blessing
absolutely.
is pretty specific to LDS. Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
Hey,
It's a
real
blessing where
quick,
yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you, but like I'm gonna have to stop and restart because we don't pay for Zoom. So like right there on that blessing part, can we like kind of pick up right where
Yes.
we're leaving off? I'm gonna send you
Yeah.
guys new links, okay? Okay, bye.
Thank you. Hey.
Hey. Okay.
Okay, so blessing.
So I get a call from his mother, and she says he's not doing very well. Can you please give him a blessing? So, and just to kind of explain that, that's just an opportunity to anoint his head with oil and then pronounce a prayer and a blessing to help, address his needs. And we like to do that for people who are sick or anything like that. So
Yeah.
this was one of those moments that was, a live or die moment kind of a thing. And I just knew that this was not going to be a good ending. It's
Thankfully, you were wrong.
you go to all
Yeah,
this,
it was bad.
Yeah.
lungs are filling up, like he said, but then he actually got edema and swelled up, and his mom sent me pictures.
I had like 70 pounds of water weight on me.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
And his eyes were shut. He couldn't see, and his, like face was all like, if you touch his skin, it leaves the indentation there, and it's
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of dark. It's just not healthy, not good. And it's systems are shutting down inside.
Yeah.
So actually I drove down State Street in Salt Lake down to the hospital in Murray, and as I was going down, I just knew that I would probably be giving him a blessing to pass away peacefully. And we get to the hospital, and his family's there surrounding him, and Brian came.
Yeah.
And so Brian stayed with me and Korey's brother, Ricky. And so the family left the room, and we just stayed in the room and gave Korey a blessing. And in that moment, it was a different feeling. And I felt the feeling that he would actually live if he did everything that the physicians asked him to do, and if he got off the street permanently.
And I wasn't. I was fighting. I wasn't prepared to go.
Were you hearing him say these words to you? Did you hear it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
was coherent, but in the back of my head, I kept telling myself, first I'm like, I'm dying. But then I just said, no, I'm not gonna die.
Good.
And he started fighting, and they started sucking gross fluid out of him every day, a 2-liter of stuff.
Yeah, I had chest tubes put in through my ribs, like inch-round lines, and that was just pretty much keeping all the water out of my internal area.
And dialysis started
So-
in the hospital too for
Yeah.
months.
So what was that like, thinking that you might, like, this might be it? What were you thinking? What's
At first, it was, I was in such a bad way on the streets, and I was so sick. At first, it was like, I was thinking, it might be a relief, but then after Mike and family were around and stuff, I'm like, I'm not going nowhere. I dealt with a lot of pain in my life. I can handle this.
Yeah.
So he
Do you-
had his 40th birthday in the hospital,
Yeah, that's
and
Okay.
a couple of former homeless friends showed up that day to
Wish
celebrate.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wish they wouldn't have, but they did.
They did, and then
How nice. They thought of you,
But they were also on drugs, and it kind of.
Yeah.
That
It
is-
When you
wasn't-
see people that do drugs, that it just throws your instincts back in.
Yeah. But you know that they were coming out of love.
Yeah,
It
so,
sounds like, so.
I learned that if any of my friends wanted to get off drugs, I didn't go around them. I didn't call them. I didn't nothing. Because it's just, it just.
You didn't want to feel like you were in the wrong or something, maybe? You're like,
Dragging 'em?
like
Well,
if
no, I just noticed when you would get around people that are still doing drugs, you tend to want to do drugs or
Okay.
ask them if they got any, or you know what I mean? It's just.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I brought Korey some gifts, like a Utah Jazz hat and a Metallica pop figure, like
Excellent.
That sounds about right.
stuff like that. And it was just fun. We had fun for his birthday, 40th birthday in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then it was a month or two later that his family approached him and said, we can tell you're a little different right now, and we want you to come home.
Well,
But if you come home, you need to do this, 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 and this, but we want you home.
It's crazy so my sister Whitney,
Uh-huh.
she
Remember Whitney?
she'd been married to this guy. His name's Kyle, and I've never met him. I mean, they were with each other because I was on the street so long. I never met him. And my mom and Whitney and Kyle showed up at the hospital, and Kyle was just kind of sitting over in the corner. And, my mom told me, you're doing good. So, the doctor pretty much told me if I went back out on the streets, I'd be dead within a month.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the strength. I didn't have, because when they finally got all that water weight off me, I was like 160 pounds. I had,
Yeah.
all my muscles were just atrophied. I could barely stand.
And how tall are you normally?
6'5". Yeah.
6'5". So to be 160 pounds, it's
Yeah, I was.
nothing.
There's some pictures out there. I think my mom's. Oh, you got that one of me and my mom at the dentist where I just like it's
Gaunt.
So yeah, so
So anyways, of all people, my sister invites me into her house, but I come to find out it wasn't my sister that invited me into the house. It was Kyle, this guy that I've never met in my life. I think that he just
a
figured
good human who was
I just
ready to
needed
help.
another chance.
Yeah.
And I think, the family was able to offer stuff I could never offer, I could help, but only to a point. And that's really what this is about, is family rallying around family.
But
Yeah,
then-
because you have your own family that you have to, and you can't put your kids and your wife in like any type of position that, would affect their life, I guess,
Well, and
negatively. Whereas,
I never
Right.
would have expected Mike to do that. He was helping as much as he could, and I appreciated every bit of it.
yeah,
But when it come to a place to stay or anything like that, I'm just glad my family stepped in. But even after my sister let me in, that wasn't the end of it. I was in Murray IHC for a month, and then I was out for 2 weeks, went right back into Provo IHC for another 3-4 weeks.
mhm.
So he kept going back
And
to the
then
hospital.
then I was out again for 2 weeks, and then I went. I mean, it was a total of almost 3 months.
And then when you were finally home, you still did dialysis in Salem.
I had to go do dialysis every other day for 4-hour shifts,
And that probably means you
Yeah.
need someone to drive you there, right? Like that's a lot of
Yeah,
support and stuff.
Just-
That,
I kept trying to get on assistance, and I was able to get on state assistance like Medicaid, but the bigger portion, getting some kind of money coming in. So I was fighting to get on disability, even just temporarily until I
Yeah.
got better. And I fought with them, and it's just a hassle because anytime you get on disability, you got to go through this big board of doctors to see if you're qualified. Well,
Yeah.
my kidney doctor, my renal doctor, Dr. Crouch, he was amazing. That last time I came in the hospital, he's like, I'm going to get you on disability right now, because I guess if you're on dialysis, it's an automatic pass to disability. So I was able to get money coming in, and they paid all my hospital bills, and
And
That's
that paved the
amazing.
way. And now he
That's
actually
huge.
works full time in construction. So that was the perfect launch pad for Korey to get back into society.
I was going to go back to work sooner, but then COVID hit, and the doctors
Mhm.
told me to kind of be wary, with all my problems. So I kind of went and hid at my dad's house up in Spring City, out in the middle of nowhere, for a year and a half. And then I came back after I got vaccinated, and now I'm back to work full time.
So
Nice.
yeah, that is how things turn around.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I got married, something I thought I would never do. but-
yay.
And she's amazing.
That's awesome. I think you
Yeah.
totally hit the nail on the head though, Mike, with the whole, you need the family to like rally around you. One thing, unfortunately, that I see a lot though, with like a lot of people who I know currently in my life who don't have family. I literally know a friend right now who's currently going through a homeless situation, and both her parents are passed away. And like, you know what I mean? And she has children, and she, and an ex-husband who is remarried and taking care of another family, but could care less of the one he made and left behind. You know what I mean? So
And
it's
that's
like,
where
we need community that can somehow help people who don't have family.
you nailed it. You nailed it. And it's the voice
Yeah.
of a friend that can really cut through the dark times.
you know.
And that's how it started out. The family could only go so far, and then they were at a loss of what to do, and that's where a friend could
Mhm.
step in. And then the tables finally turned, where I could only do so much, and the family was able to step back in. But you're right, not a lot of people have opportunities like that, or family
Yeah.
rallying them
You
on,
know,
or
and
it's
I-
just
I- as being 5 years on the street, I've seen very, very few get off. It's
Because it's a
Mhm.
vicious process, right? Like how do you have a job if you don't have a a landline, a home, a
Or
car
what-
for, you know,
or a way to get to there, you
a
know, and
way
that
to
was
get
my
there, to
problem.
shower, to wash your clothes. Like there's just so many factors to just say, how can you be begging for money when you could just get a job? Okay,
Not
having
that
a
easy.
job alone is a job. And then if that job doesn't pay enough to actually cover all your basic needs, then you're a slave.
And
Why
there
wouldn't I
was
choose to
some-
beg over be a slave? I get it.
Yeah, and there were some legal things that we worked through too. So it's not like a homeless person can just get up and go to court in the south of Salt Lake Valley like that. Like somebody needs to be able to help kind of coach and mentor them through. And
Yeah.
caseworkers can do some of that, but they can only go so far.
Yeah.
And you just need some kind of community support
Yeah.
to be able to help lift that hand.
Yeah. Because we
out.
can't
So-
depend on like the greater system I'm
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and we can't expect them to have to fix everything either. Like, we all need to
You
be
have to
more
want it.
aware of our surroundings and like willing to and looking for opportunities to help. And then people in that position need to understand, I guess, that there are really people that want to help and don't be embarrassed because you know, like the judgments come from all the old negative ideals of what like homelessness was. Like when you said on the news, they would always be negative and then people wouldn't give. And that's them trying to like generally sell a story that falls in line with whatever their end goal is or whatever. But really, we're all freaking humans. And if we can all just see everybody as human and try to be lifting up the people around us, we wouldn't need a system to take care of us because we got this,
Right.
you know, like just be a better
So-
human.
Then I
So,
had a
Korey,
bunch,
what-
like, what's that, Emily?
Sorry, what did you find helpful and not helpful?
As far as what? Getting off
As
the
just-
streets? Or-
Yeah, just
Or day to day.
moving you into a better direction. What
Oh, yeah,
was
I mean, definitely family, friends, you know, but mostly myself. You know, I had
Yeah.
to convince myself that I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
you know, when I got out of the hospital and I was doing dialysis, I mean, it was rough for me for like 6-7 months because I could barely make it up the flight of stairs. And I just had to keep telling myself, you know, this will get better, I'll get stronger, you know, but then I was always worried because I was actually on the kidney transplant list. So I thought I was gonna be on dialysis most of my life. And
yeah.
then my kidneys came back, you know, to where I could function without dialysis. So
Wow.
that was amazing. And so, you know, having a positive attitude, which is something that I never used to have. I was always negative about things, you know, and, you know, so it's been a big help with me. And
Like that.
like I said, the
Yeah.
friends and family, you know, were a huge help. You know, I've never seen my family help me like that. You know, I've never seen them just drop everything and
Yeah.
all step together and help.
And they
me.
probably always would have, but they needed you to like be accepting and they just needed to know how to go about it because nobody, like I know that at any point in time, even though I don't talk to my parents a ton and we don't have like a ton in common. So it's like when we're together, it's just like, hey, what's up? Not much. You? What's up? You know, it's just, but I know I could just walk in their door at 3:00 in the morning. Like there's just that comfort level of I know I have a safe space outside of the space that I've created that I'm sure your parents always felt that way. You could have
Right.
showed up anytime because
Yeah.
I mean, I
Well-
have kids, my kids, they can show up whenever. I'm here for them, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember very vividly the day that we invited Korey to our home. Now he's home. Let's
Yeah.
have him over. Let's have him over. Let's play games. Let's introduce him to the family. And you know, the kids are sitting around like, okay, I'm getting to know this new guy that obviously played a big role in your life growing up. And you know, he's been through they've been watching on the outside while this is all happening. And now he's turning his life around and now he's in our house and he's sitting in front of us. He's in our living room, you know, and they're kind of building up their trust. And this is just, you know,
Now
how
I get it.
amazing Korey is. He can come in the house whenever he wants. Like,
Yeah, and all the kids
Yeah.
say hi to me when I came in.
absolutely. Play games, you know, just whatever.
Most
Yeah.
importantly, though, have they seen Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Many times.
How come I
In fact,
haven't? How
They're
have we
making a
not-
sequel.
Is that for real? Are you really making a sequel?
You talk about this. I will be right back.
Hold on. If you're making a sequel,
We
I
want
wanna be
in.
in it. Please.
Yeah,
Yes.
we had this puppet velociraptor.
Uh-huh. It was so good. We spent the entire Christmas break making this movie, and it was like, it was awesome. It
Okay.
was phenomenal.
It's awesome. This is it. It's
The
Hansen,
Hansons. Oh God.
Lost World.
Jurassic
Is that
Park.
me on the cover? I forget. I think it is. It's me and you.
Will
Yeah.
you send? I mean, how do I get a copy?
I have one.
Okay.
I'll send it
For
to you.
realsies,
I
please send it to me.
I may have an extra copy.
Okay.
Yay.
Hey,
I can see it.
can you still? Do you remember the song that I used to love that you played that you like put on one of your
Sheriff?
albums? I don't know what you called it. But was it called-
Absolutely.
It's not called Sheriff, but we called it Sheriff.
We did. We called
Around
it Sheriff.
Yeah.
town.
Yeah. So good.
Oh,
Oh,
Absolutely.
we
Yeah,
might
I
need
think
to.
So- So I
honestly,
became.
Go ahead, Emily.
No, go ahead. I've interrupted you
I'd
like
say
4
that
times.
was
It's
one
your
of my
turn.
favorite parts when I used to come over to your guys' house after school. I was to play with Mike, but I loved listening to you guys all play your instruments. I loved your guys' playing. I liked your guys' music.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
could
you're
all
just fun to
sing
be
and
around.
play, and it wasn't like annoying kids like, you know.
Oh no, we had a lot of that too. It was a very loud house.
I love listening to Maggie on her harp. You know, she's
Mhm.
amazing on that. Mike's music. I mean, all you guys had your own talents, and I like.
That's
you
because
know,
we got bored. We're
every
like, we're
day.
bored. Let's
I
just go
said-
pound the key.
I don't think there
Well-
was a day I was at your house playing that I wasn't listening to one of the kids. Doesn't matter where in the house playing some kind of music.
Yeah, no, kudos to
Right,
your
for
parents who had like the ability to like share that with you and did
Yeah.
like.
You know,
That's
and that's
awesome.
another thing. Mike's dad helped me out a lot too with all my legal stuff when I got it. You know,
True.
so I got in trouble.
You
a
were
few
friends
times.
with the right kid growing up. I'll tell you that.
My friend's dad's a lawyer. He'll take care of me.
No, he put up with us for so many years. It was just karma coming back, man. Anybody who can put up with our family for that long, yeah, you're in there for good. We're blood
Yeah.
brothers. So
All right.
Yeah,
oh,
it's been a good run, and I'm doing
That's
great.
right.
He's doing great. We're all doing great.
well, good. And I'm always happy to see you around the fam.
You
Like-
look so much like your mother. You know that, Emily. I
I
Oh,
hear that a
right.
lot. I get that a lot,
Yeah.
but
So
it's
do
good.
I.
I
That's-
like it.
It's because they got a hot
I know,
mom, right? I mean, she's pretty cute.
That's a whole nother episode we'll have to do.
No, Lisa's already been on an episode.
It's
Well,
true.
I
She
want
has.
to thank you guys for this opportunity because,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
each of us, I still hear from people in Germany and Russia and Japan
Yeah.
and France, and people are asking me all the time, like I will go on trips to Canada and Texas.
What was the new one?
In Texas, 4 people asked me how Korey's doing. It like at least twice a week still to this day, people ask me how he's doing.
That's awesome.
And
Mike called me out of the blue. When was it last week? Just out of the blue to tell me that I had a new country. What country was it? It was what country was it? I got a comment from some new country and he called to tell me
Yay.
about
Because
Kazakhstan or
overall,
something like
people
that.
are good.
Yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
on a grand
And-
scale, people care and people are good. And we need to remember that
Norway.
that people
Norway.
everywhere are good.
Yeah, no,
And
for the
one
first
last-
time, with people in Norway asking us how he was doing. So
Yeah.
it's just, you know, we each have our own way to kind of tell the story, but to bring it together, you know, we haven't done this together except on the KSL stories, you
Yeah.
know, so this has been really fun.
Yay. No, and I had kind of seen some of those, but I just kind of wanted to hear it from you guys and like, put it
Yeah.
together. It was way more fun this way.
Yeah.
Yes.
definitely.
And
sure.
one last cool story that I had was at the time your KSL story came out, the first one,
Yeah.
I was teaching nursery in church. Like I was watching over the little tiny guys. And there was this a lady in my ward that taught nursery with me. And we were just kind of talking and I just mentioned your story and she's like, I remember that guy. I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah, I remember being in Salt Lake and I saw his dog and I really liked his dog. So I went and bought him some dog food and anyway, she remembered you
Took a
and then
picture.
her sister took a picture of you
And I
and
remember.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Such
Yeah.
a small
'Cause
world.
I
That's
didn't
so
let
cool.
very
I don't know
many
if it was her
people take
sister.
my
Maybe.
picture. Yeah, I didn't let very many people take my picture. And so the
Yeah.
few I did let take, I do remember.
Do you still have
and
your dog?
And
it's amazing what she did with that picture.
Okay.
That was crazy.
yeah, she took the picture and she was so moved by it that she like pencil
took
drew
out-
over, or
Yeah,
she,
she took out the streets and the signs and everything and kind of made it all like black. And it's really cool.
I'll send
you
the
have
picture to you,
that?
Rach, and you
Yeah,
can send.
please.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
see
it's
if I can
amazing.
put them
And then-
in like after the picture of you guys together that you took,
Yeah.
and then the picture of that would be really cool too, because that is a cool
Yeah.
story. And
So
what a small
in-
world.
But the dog.
Yeah,
Gotta know about the dog.
His homeless friends who were watching his dog while he was in the hospital ended up kind of turning on him and saying, "We're taking the dog
Well,
and we're disappearing."
When you're on the streets, if you're holding a sign, a
Yeah.
dog, and a lot of people abuse it.
Oh,
They get
no.
dogs just to make more money, and I
Yeah.
have the dog because the guy's original owner went to prison.
Okay.
And the pound was actually there to take him. And so I actually had a little money on me, and I just kind of went and got his little registration and stuff and had him all done. So he was my dog, but then when I went to the hospital, they took off with him and I couldn't find him. And
I will
We
say
tried
that
to get him
during-
back, right?
yeah,
during the pandemic, in 2020 is when KSL reached out to us again. We're all now on this side of the fence of the story. And
Yeah.
they said, we would like to do a part 3 and kind of give you an opportunity to talk about what it's like, now that you're years past this. And so Korey and I had an opportunity to go downtown and to actually revisit the spot. We're all wearing our masks and stuff. So yeah, if you Google Utah homeless friend, some of the pictures that pop up were from the original moment, and then some of the pictures that pop up were from our revisiting the spot and doing a part 3 story.
Yeah.
But they said, we want to do something this Christmas that we've never done before, and that is an old time radio show, kind of like a podcast that you listen to.
Yeah.
And we want KSL radio personalities to pretend to be you and Korey, and to do a Christmas story of your story with your music in the background. So if you look
Okay.
up A City Sidewalk Christmas,
Okay.
it's the KSL
Yeah.
people reenacting our story.
And to your music that you like, some of your piano
You ran
music?
into one of them, didn't you? Your voice on the.
Oh yeah, so somebody just recently ran into some of my missionary volunteers who helped do some of our digital imaging projects at the Front Runner station. He walked past and overheard them saying, "Yeah, you really need to check out this story from our manager, Michael Hansen," and him finding his friend Korey. And this guy walks past and he goes, "I know this story. I was Michael in the podcast." How often does that happen? So anyway,
Yeah. Holy cow.
you definitely have to check that out. That's a really
Yeah, it's
fun.
really
Well,
cool.
if
Yeah,
you
a lot of
can
fun
send all
Christmas.
those to me, I could put
Yeah.
all of those under the description of the podcast, and then it'll be really easy for if anybody wants to go look them, because that's awesome.
There you go.
Yay.
And I would like to suggest that we change it from Utah homeless friends to Utah awesome friend who kicks ass and like overcame hard things. Because
Yeah.
You just swear, Emily.
I did. I curse occasionally now. Sorry.
That's awesome. No, hey, no, I catch myself doing it on the job every now and again. So
I'm a bit of a sailor. I'm not gonna lie. I like some flavor to like and they're just words. You give them power, and for me, it's a good power. So it's okay.
I haven't said a swear word since 3rd grade.
I know. Hey.
3rd grade.
I believe it,
believe
Mike.
that.
I freaking heck believe it.
Awesome.
Okay.
So, and just so you know, Rachel is my Korey after Mike went on his mission. Me and
Yeah.
Rachel found each
we,
other.
and we honestly fell apart for a while. But then we would say instead of it being I went homeless, I went AWOL. I went AWOL from
Yeah.
religion, and it was a little too out there for her. And then we came back together.
I remember coming to see you in Indiana, though. That was fun.
Yes. Everything
Is that where
is
you're
fun.
at? Is
She
Indiana?
was.
No,
Oh,
I'm in
She's
Florida,
Florida
now.
now.
Yeah, but we were in Indiana at the time.
Her house burned down.
Yep, my house burned
That's
down.
another story.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to Florida. Sounds nice.
Hey, come. We oh my God. So you were talking about your 40th birthday party? I turned 40 this November and I'm planning myself because I love hosting parties. Like a big I just do. But
awesome.
I'm planning myself a party where we're just turning the house into a speakeasy. It's 20s themed, it's invite only, but we're gonna a bartender, which is my niece. But you know, it's fun, even if you don't drink or anything, because we'll just do music and dress up. We do a lot of murder mystery parties too. But anyways,
It's awesome.
I'm trying to make Emily come. So you guys should all come in November.
So I got.
I don't think there's a
Korey
making me.
I got Korey a free set of dentures for his 40th birthday. So you know.
Woo woo.
But-
That's
Hey, I dig it.
They're getting a little outdated, so now that I got insurance through the county, I can go get what I want. I want to get those ones that
Implants.
screw in, and
Yeah. I'm a dental hygienist, so I work in dentistry. I actually just talked to a lady this past week who was telling me about some clinics in the area which are to kind of treat the underserved, where I'm going to start volunteering to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Granted, I'll just be,
sweet.
yeah.
There you go.
yeah.
So you should go.
There's a reason to go to Florida.
So get
Well,
the post again.
I am a hygienist, not a dentist, so I could maybe hook you up.
I
with
could
somebody,
assist.
but
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't even do that. But if, you know, I wouldn't really work with you too much because if you don't have teeth, I'm more working on like maintaining
Keeping
your
your teeth and not
periodontium.
losing 'em.
Yeah. I'm trying to get you to keep them and never need that.
Hey, well, I got 3 left.
There you go. Hey, that you might be able to use those. I'm sure you have it right now, so you kind of have partials with clasp. If you have teeth in there to hold on to it,
They
if
left.
there's
Yeah,
sorry.
they left 3 on the top so that the top one could hold on to them to keep it in. So I don't have
Oh.
to use the glue on the top.
I even have pictures of every tooth ever pulled.
Yeah, that was gross, dude.
Why'd you do that? Why?
Because he's Mike and he documents everything.
Hey, guess what? Don't send me those ones.
I was just
Include
like,
links to.
Yeah,
You're
I
gonna
mean,
get
they're-
that for your what's your next birthday? You're gonna get a recreation of your mouth of
I
your own
made
teeth.
you a Google photo book.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
Is
it's
there an
been
adult
fun,
tooth
guys.
fairy? That could be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you guys so much for coming on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this was really
Absolutely.
fun.
Thanks for the invitation. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Always fun to talk to you guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's nice meeting you.
All right. And if you ever have something else you want to talk about at our Little White Picket Fence, you're
All
always
right.
welcome because
Bring it on.
I just want to have conversations. So,
All right, sounds good.
Excellent.
Sweet.
all
All
right.
right.
Bye.
Love you. See ya.
Yes,
Bye.
love you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Subscribe up there.
Subscribe.
There's a subscribe up there.
Okay.
Like the button.
Okay.